Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that last one was a little bit long, and I apologize. So I promise you this next one will be very, very brief. So, interesting fun fact. In a study done by the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, they did a study of mugs at people's offices. And I know I use one every single day, but I do wash mine at the end of every day. They discovered that 20% of office mugs used at the office contain fecal matter, which is a nice way of saying poop. That's because people don't wash their hands, and that disturbs me and is gross. So if a mug, 20% of them contain fecal matter, think about everything else we touch, especially since the boys' room is often out of soap and towels to dry your hands, so people just bypass it. That's disturbing. Anyway, part 2. Climate change affects where organisms can live. The world is divided into several major biomes. We discussed that a little bit last PowerPoint. We'll look at it a little bit more on this one. Biomes can be terrestrial or aquatic. Obviously, I don't think we go on besides that anymore. You can have different biomes in the ocean. That makes sense. And biomes are not uniform. Of course they're not. This map we kind of sort of explained in depth last PowerPoint. So take a look at it here and make sure that you remember everything that we discussed, why we see the certain biomes, where we see them. Now let's look at this. This is kind of like the sliding scale of biomes. It's all based on really 2 fundamental things. How much temperature do you have? How much precipitation do you have? This corner, you're hot and you're wet. You're a rainforest. Now if we stay hot, but we become more dry, we become a tropical desert. The heat makes it tropical, the dryness makes it a desert. And in between, we get tropical grasslands known as savannas, found in Africa, scrubland. Now, if we move here, we stay wet and become less hot, we're going to be in the north, and we're going to be at the temperate deciduous forests. Now, if we remain at this temperature and become more dry, we'll get to a temperate desert. Good word, huh? Temperate rainforest, or temperate forest, temperate desert. The grasslands that we see in this region are grassland, wow, or this thing called chaparral, okay? And that is, we see this a lot in California. It's usually located near the coastlines. It does burn a lot, which is why California gets a lot of wildfires. Now you keep coming up here, so you become cold and wet, you get a conifer forest, right? And then you get a subpolar desert. Now, eventually what happens is, it doesn't matter how much rain you have, it's so cold there that the water that lands is frozen most of the time. So not enough of it is liquid to actually be consumed and used by plants. So you become kind of like this Arctic desert when you go really far north. Last thing for this PowerPoint, see, we're almost done. The same changes in biomes that we experience as we move from the equator and go towards the North Pole, and that we see from the equator as we move towards the South Pole. We experience that same variation as we start at the base of a mountain and we travel towards the top. Alright? So see this, the transition in biomes are the same going vertical as they are moving towards the poles. Very, very cool. There's a mountain that I went to, Mount Hood, actually, in Oregon, a couple years, I guess about 4 years ago now. Wow, time goes by fast. And when I was at the base, it was temperate forest, very, very beautiful, nice. It was summertime, and we started driving, and you could see the change happening right in front of your eyes. By the time we got to the top, there was about 4 foot of snow. And we went and played in the snow, we snowball fight, built the snowman, and that was all in July, which is pretty crazy. So, thank you for coming.